Assalamualaikum and a very good day. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. My name is Idayu. I'm very delighted to be joining everyone here for the fourth day of Community Builders Conference in conjunction with the Global Summit for Community Builders 2020. So this wonderful and holistic virtual program, which aims to bring together people who are passionate and committed in social impact agenda, is co-organized and brought to you by International Islamic University Malaysia and Philandure, supported by all party parliamentary group, as well as we have the Malaysian CSO-SDG Alliance, and it is sponsored by Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad. So without further ado, before we go further, I would also like to remind everyone who is viewing that we have concurrent programs currently, such as the Ummah Summit, as well as my CSO Capacity Building Program. So you might want to check that out and register for that. You can check out the website globsummit.org, as well as launchgood.com/mycso2020. I hope that you are as excited as I am, because today with me, we have two amazing guests. I would like to introduce Ms. Teoh. She is a community builder at PichaEats. With an educational background in food science, she is currently a community builder at PichaEats, a food company which empowers the refugee community through the food they make. So this company has partnered with over 25 chefs from zones affected by war, such as Syria, Myanmar, and Afghanistan, all home based in Malaysia. And these chefs have served over 100,000 meals to events of various backgrounds, and the program has generated over 2 million ringgit since 2016 to these refugee chefs, and somehow this also benefit the children of these chefs in terms of their education. We also have Mr. Syed Azmi, a social activist. He is the chairman of the Board of Trustees of Impact Malaysia and the member of the Board of Trustees of the Yayasan Kebajikan Negara YKN. He is the advisor at the Kuala Lumpur Court, advisor of Casa Harapan, and also the former patron of Rumah Kita. And more importantly, he is running a non-governmental organization of Persatuan Untuk Anak Kita, or best known as Puak Payong. Welcome, Ms. Chia, as well as Mr. Azmi. I would let you know and brief somehow the flow of this. You will be given 20 minutes, and then we will be followed by questions and answer session. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the comment section and we'll get back to that. So we'll begin with Ms. Minsha to deliver your sharing, please.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us today with the Community Builder Conference. And so my name is Chia, and as a community builder in PichaEats, essentially what do? I always tell a lot of people is I eat in the team. But later on, I will also share with you what do I mean by that. So PichaEats, we have started since 5 years ago. And so essentially, we are partnering with refugee chefs, and they come from different countries, all the way from Syria, Pakistan, Palestine, Afghanistan. And what happened is, with the chef that we have, we actually are empowering them with where they were preparing the food at home, and then we also bring the food to either corporates, and we also deliver food to household. We also deliver the food to general consumer. So PichaEats started since about 5 years ago, and the name Picha itself actually come from this little boy in Myanmar. So this boy, when we met him, is actually his sister that we were volunteering in a refugee learning center. And we met his sister. So when we meet the sister and we realized that, hey, these students, they are dropping out from refugee learning center, and we're wondering what's happening. And when we try to find out more, we realized that this is not just about one kid, and this is not just about them as well. So it is about these 160,000 registered refugees in Malaysia. So these refugees, when they come to Malaysia, because Malaysia is not a signatory of UN Convention. So what does that mean is refugees in Malaysia, they are not allowed to work formally, and also the kids are not allowed to work in the kids are not allowed to go to classes, formal classes, and also a lot of time in terms of healthcare, they actually will get compromised. So when refugees in Malaysia, they still have to make a living. They want to be able to use their own skill set to actually earn a living, and when they are with UNHCR, so they can register themselves and get card. So with these refugee families that we meet from different countries, and we realized that we had to do something. But that time as a student, we didn't know what else can be done. So what we try out is we actually try selling food in the university. And when Picha first started, we were still naming ourselves as the Picha Project. And we only rebranded to PichaEats since last year. So I was still a student when our three co-founders and they are trying to test out this idea. So I was in a student helping out in university to test out different idea. So what happened is fast forward, right now we actually are partnering with 12 active families where they are selling their food from home, and they're preparing the meals, whereas Picha actually manage on all the way from the operations to the marketing. So we run on a 50-50 profit sharing model where say a box of meal is 20 ringgit, and what happened is with that meal itself, while you are enjoying the meal, we will also giving back to the families where we will cover the 10 ringgit from out of the 20. Actually, they were using it to cover the ingredients. That also include the earning. And then another 10 ringgit will come to PichaEats in order to cover on all the, the packaging, the marketing. We also have a full-time team to actually work on everything that you have seen online. And yep, so not just about that. And this year, basically, COVID happened. And all this while, we have always have the 60% of our clients is from the corporate side. Means we do a lot of catering. And what we realize is, COVID happened. There's no, big gatherings. There is no way that people are going to work as well. Office are basically closed. So what we do is, we think how can we pivot? We think how can we, do more? And when it comes to, my role as a community builder. So like I say, what I mainly do is eat. But in Picha, what I always work on is actually a lot on family onboarding. So we visit the families and we recruit them. We visit these refugee families at home. We recruit them, and then we also bring them on to have trainings in the kitchens, and we also basically lead them through a journey where they'll be able to know more about what do Malaysians like to eat, so that when they curate their own cuisine and then they can actually think about what other things that they can offer to Malaysians. So what during we pivot, we also think about what do people want or need the most at this time, right? So when it comes to food, so that is why ready to heat meals happen. So with ready to heat meals, the idea is come to subscription where people can do good and enjoy meals in a very consistent basis. So what does that mean is when the families they prepare meals, and then we are actually the one that assemble it, and we make sure the meals are prepared in a way where we'll be assembling it, and also they are in frozen format so that people can keep at home. And the idea is to encourage people to actually subscribe to doing good by also enjoying the great meals. And also at the same time, we also look into what are other strengths that we have. That is how Zucchini and Co happened as well during this time. So Zucchini and Co is basically a social media agency, but we also partner with refugee teenagers where we train them how do you use practical design skill to curate or to generate social media posts, so that, like I mentioned earlier, to look at a bigger picture and to look at this entire community, there are a few challenges that they are facing. So that's why we look into the livelihood of the parents, and then we also look at how can we empower the teenagers with education side. And basically this is the whole Picha vision, where we really want to be able to empower the families and to really bring their talents, I would say talents where people don't know that they have, or more like their hidden talents, and people really can see how much they can offer it as their skill. So that's why we have the mothers who is preparing the meals, and then we also have teenagers who can really do great design with Zucchini and Co. So yeah, I think that's all about Picha, and yes, now putting back to Idayu.
Thank you for sharing that, especially when you
problem.
mentioned about how Zucchini also empower the people to share their stories.
Yeah.
So these are, I think I would go later if they're after the questions from our audience. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Syed Azmi to share your experiences.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, my name is Syed. I am a pharmacist by profession, and basically right now I'm running an NGO called PUA Payung. PUA stands for Persatuan Untuk Anak Kita. PUA also means tribe in English. And what we do is actually we promote safe spaces. So before we started an NGO, I was an NGI, non-government individual, and we promote safe. We actually save children. We promote safety in children who is being abused, who's being raped, or who is actually pregnant. So my cause is actually a child advocate. Now the thing is, I don't like when people see me. Everybody was very happy with what we do. We save a lot of children. Unfortunately, everybody also see me as somebody who will only see if you're in trouble. So that is the sad part. So even though we save many children from abuse or sexually or rape and all sorts of misconduct towards children, I don't see them again. After we settle the case, I don't see these children. Because what happened was, if they ever saw me, and sometimes they do, they call me Amikimi, they will be reminded that the first time we met was because I was in trouble or I was pregnant. So I try my best not to actually have a big data anywhere so that these children cannot be found. And of course, the perpetrator, we put them in jail as much as possible to protect children. So over the years, after all that kind of work, it's really rewarding. And then I realized saying that I don't want people to see me as, it's not as a savior for children who's being abused. So we created an NGO and we make a very big vision that was supposed to promote safe spaces. So safe spaces doesn't mean there's a center or an institution, doesn't mean the jail, doesn't mean police station, hospital, or welfare. No. Safe spaces means that every part of the soil on earth, in the country especially, is safe for children to be at. So, and we cover all kind of children, Malaysian, not Malaysian. As long as you are in this country, we'll try to make it safe for you, the kids. So what happened is, when I say it's safe spaces, I didn't realize that to create that safe space is not just the place, the infrastructure have to be safe. So, and COVID is the best time where we test out safe spaces in a bigger, wider. I'm more busier now than ever, actually, after I opened up these horizons, where we also realized that people out of job and parents out of job, they cannot put food on table. And can you imagine if they go hungry and then they get stressed, children become noisy, and then they hit children. So that house is no longer safe. So during COVID, what we do is we really, really try to promote these safe spaces by making sure that they're protected in a way, they're well fed, and parents can have a bit of cushioning of financial aid while they think of another way to sustain themselves, and the children are happy. And now that we've covered, I think we've spent more than 1.6 million ringgit in just trying to give out financial aid to family, and most of them actually understood the reason why we give financial aid. We promote a lot of safe spaces actually in a variety form, meaning that where do they play, what do you do, and we create a lot of competition. In fact, today itself, after we saw Farah and Mattel Barbie actually created a Barbie specifically for Farah and our gymnast, we come up with a lot of competition. So today we said that for any children who wants to create video about talking about themselves and their inspiration, and also whatever that they want to talk on video, they will get a free Barbie doll to inspire them, because children cannot be bored. and they need to have activities. If not, they linger towards other social ills or friends that has social intention, and I don't want that. So to maintain safe spaces is not just enough for infrastructure, but we also need it to be mindfully safe, because now cyber and online platform is in abundance. They might just click wrongly, so it's not safe also. So we have to create more activities so that they will still do better activities and stay safe. Now, apart from that, I actually, it's really hard, because the passion is, in the end, to save a child, it takes the whole village, right? So because of that, we also have to look into other avenues. What about children who are already vulnerable? So if they got pregnant, so we have our own home, for a transit home for pregnant girls, that we cater girls who are pregnant from the age of 9 years old until 18, but we also have children, adults at 21, 25, and 29. So from there, we create safe spaces for mothers and babies to be delivered near HKL Hospital. And apart from that, we have also a lot of juvenile, because I work in court right now. So we know a lot of children who have conflict with the law. So we need safe spaces for them after they go out from any correctional facilities or institution. So we also provide a lot of services. We work with a lot with ex-convicts who have changed and who actually wanted to help younger Malaysians to rebuild and integrate back in society. So this kind of work, it's a full-time job, just like Picha. It's really rewarding. Maybe the money is not there, but if we were to build back Malaysian, we actually have to build back from the young. And of course, a lot of parents and community need our help in educating. So what I do best, or earlier on, before the show, the moderator said, I don't know what you do. And I like that question. It was very refreshing, because in all essence, why people support us at Puak Payung is, as much as we help the beneficiaries, we actually educate readers. So we write a lot of things that we learn from them. So everybody knows during COVID, we help a lot of family with financial difficulty. But for every family that we help, we write stories about them, but it's not the sad ones. We actually talk about their achievements, like how do they stretch their ringgit? How do they, what kind of new norm that they create in their own home, so that we can learn from them. So personally, we invest in knowledge, and I rewrite that knowledge to teach our fellow Malaysians that if they can do it, so can we. So, and if you're more blessed, this is the time for us to think of a better policy and system so that everybody can have a breather, because we don't know how long COVID will be. And we don't even know whether we can afford healthcare or vaccines. And so everybody have to be strong. So in an essence, what we do, we are an educator, but the main thing that we do is we are creating safe spaces in a broader meaning, and it's the role of every Malaysian to understand. And I'm very, very glad that it seems to be successful right now. I hope that we don't have to maintain doing what we do for the next maybe 5 years. It's not that I don't like the job. It's just that if we do the job really well, then we can educate every fellow Malaysians to actually take care of children properly. Then you don't need me anymore. And then I can start doing back my pharmacy work probably. So, but for now, there is a need to work together with community and government agencies in and out of the country to have better knowledge sharing, to support good businesses, to dare to try to fail, to dare to invest in new ideas. Because as much as how Picha starts or how I start, when nobody knows us, it was really hard. But we see really good new unsung heroes that has no name, no organization, no big logo, no letterhead, no name card, but they do good work. And I think that we also have to think of investing these new talents because they are more fresh. Just like if all of you can see, there's around 20 IIUM students here behind the scenes who's actually doing this work for you. And I really appreciate it because they've been very kind and hopeful, and they really wanted to do something different. And these are the kind of people that we wanted to invest and acknowledge that they play a role to create future. Back to you.
Thank you, Mr. Syed, for sharing that. And I mentioned that I didn't know what he does because he does a lot of things. So I don't know how to describe that to share with the audience. So I'm very honored to have Ms. Mincha as well as Mr. Syed. So we have some questions here. Let's go with the first one by Lily. She asks, Salam and Sheikh Azmi, in your opinion, kids or teenagers with suicidal thoughts, do they need a safe place too? And if yes, I would like to add, how would it look like?
Okay, so this is the thing. Our definition of safe space is every part that you can breathe. Okay, means that you're still alive. So sometimes suicidal thoughts, yes, it's on the rise right now, especially in children and especially children below 12. We have a lot of cases on that now. But sometimes they don't need a place. You know, they don't need to go, or when you ask a question, how does it look like? It doesn't look like an institution or four walls. Sometimes it can be a safe space to call or numbers to need for help. But these are the things. So the first line is they are seeking for help. So you need to communicate, engage with them. That's the word, engaging, right? When it comes to engaging, you need to know whether do you understand children. You need to know the kind of language they use. You need to be trained so you're not judgmental. You need to be prepared to ask the right questions and to give suggestions. And it's also very hard because children think that nobody cares and they think that nobody understands them. They think very unique. They think parents would see them as weak. Boys cannot cry and all that sort. So you see, and we don't need to wait for a child to die and then we react. So we have to talk about it. We actually have to prepare all the numbers ready and accessible to them, meaning that if they cannot call, can they have a toll-free number or can they WhatsApp if they are not ready to talk? So all these things needs in place and a lot of it is there. It's just that how it looks like, if you are asking that, it means that we don't even know where to find these numbers. So to them, it looks blank and that's why, and we are multi-racial, multi-ethnic, and we have more types of ethnic group. Picha can give you more than 20. So what kind of language are we talking about? And where do they seek this information? If they Google it online and they went into a wrong direction, so it's not going to be safe. But coming back to Lily's question, right? So do they need a safe space? Do you need a safe space? Sometimes for us, even we need safe spaces, even though we don't have suicidal thoughts. So, but we always have to educate the community to be ready and the right people, which is people with the expertise to handle suicides, to actually know where they are and how accessible it is for us to go to them. So that's why sometimes the word is hate in this blissful morning. I hate it when people suggest things that it's not realistic, like, oh, go see a counselor. I want to know where. I want to know what time, how much, how many time, who should bring them, is it confidentiality, is taken care of? And then you cannot answer me, oh, I don't know about that. So why do you easily just say, see a counselor, go to the hospital, see a psychiatrist? No, you have to have a really good answer so that help can reach. So a lot of people, when they say that, I think it's fine. I mean, on behalf of me being in this prestige place, IIUM, I was just making a joke with one of the students here. I said, well, you guys have IIUM confessions. And I thought that was a safe space for people to write in and they can read, you know? So that's how a safe space looks like because they think it's safe enough to share. Just to give an example. And I think it works. It's just that maybe sooner more experts can come into giving more professional advice. And you have to understand psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, they all have ethics to adhere to. So maybe man-made ethics should change to make sure it's more accessible and affordable to all.
Thank you very much. I would go back later there because you shared also in your sharing previously how creating safe space is not just the job or responsibility as your NGO, but also everyone and anyone. I want to go back to Miss Mincha, since the first question, all right, let's go to a question from the audience first. Question by Parisha. She asked to Miss Mincha, during this pandemic, do PichaEats accept Malaysian citizens with no job as well as be part of the chef team? Does your organization or company only focus on refugees?
Yeah. So for PichaEats, actually, to us, it's not just about refugees. Working together with refugees, one of the reasons because we met them when we first have this idea. So like the community is already there, and then we think about how do we then want to have a solution, a long-term solution with this community that we have been with so long. So this is how we started with refugees. But a lot of people would also ask this question, right? Are you also planning or actually will want to work with Malaysians? So to us, it's really has nothing to do with the country or like the race or where are you from. So it's actually about how much do you want to use cooking skill as a way to earn a living. So yes, we are definitely very open to actually partner with locals as well. So like I say, it doesn't have anything to do with the origin of the country. So yeah, during pandemic time, we actually did approach a few mothers who we know that they are struggling, but at the same time they are really resilient. What do I mean by that is they started to sell food online. So that's how we get to know about them. We know that these mothers who are really strong, they also want to offer something to the crowd and say, okay, I have great food and I really want to support my family using my own skill set. So that is why we approach them. But at the end of the day, we would also do this based on whether or not they want to actually join us. If you ask, are we ready or like are we open to take in non-refugees mothers who can cook? The answer is definitely a yes, because to us it's important to empower mothers at the end of the day to see what they can offer to more people out there, rather than just saying, okay, I'm just going to work with refugees and yeah, the origin of country really doesn't matter. But it didn't turn out. I mean, we didn't turn out to work with them at the end. When during the pandemic time, it's because when we offer, they also have this perception where, okay, it's okay. I think we can. I want to do small, start small first. So and we say, okay, when you're ready, come to us.
Thank you very much for sharing that. My question is actually related to the question asked to
Right.
Mrs. Syed about mental health, and me coming from IIUM Student Union, we see how COVID-19 pandemic has changed and like set on fire many crises that students are facing, for mental health, financial, etc. Not just our students, but also our community. And before this program, you shared with me how it started with as a university project
Yeah.
and turned into a company that is empowering the people. So my question is, what initially drives you to go into this? And you think there are many elements, but what one element that enabled you to propel this company further?
So when it comes to PichaEats, yes, like I mentioned earlier, we started experimenting during university years. So for the co-founders who started this, and I would say a lot of time it's really you have to be thick-faced enough
Okay.
to start anything. And also when we first started out, of course we need to go around, and we always have this mindset where you when we try to start, we ask our friends around. In university there's a lot of events. I believe that's still happening right now, like events, virtual events. But probably virtual event you don't need food, right? But that time when it was physical events, and that's when we ask our friend, hey, I got event okay lah, take some food, and then we will ask them, oh, do you want to try out food from this Myanmar family? So the urge, or like the strong will to actually want to start something, I believe I would say a lot of people have it, but actually taking that step to start, and also to basically want to experiment is something that is so important when we first when we first having Picha like in 5 years ago. And what happened is because we took that step, because we say yes, and that's how our first catering happened as well. Because when we first started, we only have meal boxes. So does this say when we deliver to a company, and the company say that, oh, actually I want something that's more decent. I don't really want my team to eat meal boxes. So then can you do catering? So at that point, in Picha, we don't really know how to set up a catering, and we don't really know how should the catering look like, and we don't even have the equipment. So what do we do at that point is we just say yes. So after saying yes, and then only we go, and the next step is go and Google what's happening. when it comes to catering, how to set up like things like that. So I think to set up a business and to really put the long-term mindset in your head, and also taking that very first step to actually do it, I think that would be the most important things to any project and any work that has to do with community.
Thank you very much for sharing about that. I hope that inspires myself as well as all students, that we see so many issues around us and we take action. Even the students have existing projects, but how do we turn those projects into more sustainable entities? So next question, and I believe that your organization, Mr. Syed, deals with vulnerable groups. And it's not easy, especially when you deal with, you mentioned about from those who might have criminal records, to sexual abuse, to domestic abuse. So what are the main challenges that you have faced when you first started? Maybe one biggest challenge, and how do you overcome that?
Well, it's just very unfortunate or fortunate, depends on how you say it. But what happened to us was we started with the work first, not with the organization.
Okay.
So basically that was the difference. So I didn't have any challenges with setting up an organization because I was already doing it. So I wanted the challenge was I am not a very paper person. So meaning that I don't have a laptop, I don't own a printer, I don't have papers. Simply because of the work I do is once you settle it and then you let go, and then as an organization and NGO, there's a lot of paperwork. So, but that paperwork I thought was good. I don't need that NGO entity, but I do it because if I die, then the work can continue. So that was the main reason why I started an NGO. So we didn't have that obstacles or challenges, honestly. But the biggest challenge was to understand how system work in an NGO. What does the government expect from an NGO? What are the paperwork involved? How much cost does it take? That doesn't happen as an NGI. And then I think the main question to this is, how do you get an NGO properly running? And that's the kind of challenges people want to know. So I actually went talking, and I talk to students all the time. I said to them that don't talk about how much money you need. Talk about the cause and the work that you believe in and show persistence. And a lot of people fail in that. They fail to adhere to their mission and vision and the objective of why they do certain things. They're not driven enough, because when you create something new, it has to be different from others. So to create something different from others takes time, and you need to put a lot of effort in it. It's like having a production house, but everybody's doing production house or photography, so you have to do something different. So and some people do not want to put in more effort to that kind of talent. So I saw the next question. Do you mind if I just answer
Yes,
that?
please.
So is it difficult to get the trust? So that's the thing. So because at first we started out, and Picha is the same. I'm going to say this to my dear siblings here. It's just that the trust comes from within the same circle at first, just their uni. So for me, it comes from a circle of people who need help. And how it goes by is when people ask me that, yeah, but you don't suddenly just jump into helping children, But I took an interest to understand children. So if you want to get support and trust from people, you have to join other people's event and project to join them. You have to join the people who are actually doing it. You learn from them. I go to a lot of talk during pre-COVID to learn from them. I go to nearly all Picha event and I hear stories and I learn every time. But with that, when you go, because these are like-minded people, the people who go, and even the spectators here right now, they're all like-minded people. They all wanted to do good, and they want to do it good well. So if you go to a physical events like before, these are all good-minded people, and you talk to all of them, and you learn from them, and you share what you do. With that, creates trust, because they see you all the time. Most of the time, we see the same people. So we talk and talk and talk, and that's how we gain trust. Okay, so when you get that kind of trust, you have to deliver. So it's just not the lovely name cards. It's about deliverance. So our method of delivery was, thank God for social media, was Facebook. So and we go online, right? So because of that, we can educate more people. So that's how I believe that we get that trust. So I didn't just come out from the womb and just become Insta famous for this. No, it takes a lot of work. And famous for the wrong reason, or famous or just as influencer doesn't last long. The work speaks for you, not your name. It's the work. There's so many people who knows my work, but they don't know who am I. And it's okay, because it's about the work that we are trying to get people to emulate and to do the same way, or to do it better than us. And we're always ready to educate.
Yes. Before we go to the next question, maybe I can ask Ms. Minchia about when you also educate people about the content creating as well. So there's a part of this. What is social responsibility as content creating for community? And then we'll go to the first question back to Mr. Syed after this. So yes, please, can you answer for that?
So when it comes to content creation, I think Picha has a very strong emphasis on what is content, what are content that goes out, so what is content to us as well. So content, or more like basically having a social media, having a voice on social media. It's very important to actually share what we do. But on top of that, is to really give a voice to those who is less heard of, or like less being known. So in this case, in Picha, we always make sure that the content that we produce is actually speaking on behalf of those that they probably not as good in English, or they probably don't have a voice at this moment to actually tell their stories. So we tell the stories of all the mothers that we work with. We tell the stories of all the teenagers that we partner with, and I think it's very, very important to have all the content creator to rethink how can you tell stories for those who has a almost no voice, or also with a smaller voice. So in this case, in PichaEats, what we do in terms of our marketing, but to us it's more than just sharing what do we have, or like how's the product, what kind of service that we offer. It's really more on who is the ones that's preparing the meal, things that you don't see from from the social media, usually things that you don't see when you receive the meal. And it's about actually showcasing how did the meal came about, and especially on the people who prepare the meals. And that is really, really important for us, because we want people to know that this is more than just meal.
Yeah.
While you're enjoying the meal, you are also get to know the person. And on the other hand, it's also for our refugee families to know that, oh, this is more than just food. It's also a way for you to communicate with the clients that we have, and it's basically a story being told on a plate, I would say.
Yeah. Yes. Because at the end of the day, we should stop looking at refugees as refugees only, but they are also humans just like us. They have stories and they have a voice, and such a platform provide a place for them to not expect someone else to voice that for them, but instead share and feel empowered to share their stories. Thank you very much for sharing that, Miss. And I would go back to Mr. Syed for the first part of the question about, I think this is a cultural thing. People from the outside see that NGOs would give out one-off, or just give it to people, and might be that those things would deplete. But I do not believe that's true, because NGOs are also giving some sustainable programs to transform the people that they help. So maybe you can share on the part of your organization, how does that look like when we create a safe space for people, but when they go out from there, as well as how can they continue being protected?
Okay, it's two different questions actually there. But I would like to answer this one first, because it's so funny and it's Saturday and I like to be funny on Saturday. So for all of you out there, this question is by Globes. Okay, so I'm gonna hold Globes responsible for this question. Okay, so this is the cheeky part of me this morning. The question was how to sustain in terms NGO, because we just give to people and did not get back. And this coming from Globes. So I will check out Globes social media after this to find out like what do they give and how come they did not get back. But that was the cheeky part, and now they're scared. But what I wanted to share to answer to that question first is, it's actually this getting back is where you start to prepare your own boundaries, levels. I never expect to get back anything except to try hard. My role was to dare to fail and to dare to try as hard as possible, because the role of an NGO is to solve problems. So solving problem, one of the first action is to do something. To do something doesn't make sure that you have the eureka correct. No, to do something is the first step, and that's the learning journey. What do you get back? You get to learn. So if you get to learn, that's what you get back. But if you don't see it, alamak, so sad for globes. But what I understand what they mean is they collect funds and then they start to give out, and then basically that's it. You don't get anything back. It's because you don't set your expectations. If you have a very YB potong ribbon photo and that's all you get, okay, to be honest, there's no story there in your social media. So we don't share stories about cutting ribbons or beras 20 kilo. We don't have that kind of stories because there's nothing to learn. How do you get back if you don't teach? What can you teach from that kind of photo of a trolley cart in a hypermarket? So what we want to know, what I want to know, and why I would open globes all the time probably, is because what can I learn from that? What can I learn? How can I give you back when I don't understand what am I investing for? If you teach me, say that we give to 20 families only, and you think it's so small that you don't need a photo, pity on you. Because why did you choose 20 families? Who are these 20 families? How come your 30 ringgit food bag can help them and make changes on their own? Because you know what, do-gooders, we are nothing but a conduit. Our job is just to help them to stand on their own. So if you can dare to tell me that with 30 ringgit of my food bag, they can stand on their own, way better, infinite result, and better comes back than a 250 ringgit food bag. If you say we give 150 ringgit cash for them to start business that sustain for 6 months, isn't that way better than giving 1,000 ringgit to sustain maybe 5 months? That kind of R&D from NGO is what you should share. You should share the journey because everybody knows you'll be doing good. What's the difference with any other NGO called slobs? So you guys are globs. So my point here is that you cannot get back if you don't give people something. So you say you give out and then you don't get back. So when you give out to the beneficiary, do you expect anything from the beneficiary? Then make a guideline. Tell me what you expect from them. They have to know. They have to know to give you back the feedback. But if you expect from donors or readers to give you back, then you have to educate us lah. It's not just the beneficiary because the beneficiary already get your food back. But to us, is how can we support you if we don't understand what you do? So this is not a tongue-in-cheek. This is actually the most important lesson on social media. Actually, I echo what Picha says. They share their stories. Their stories not, Alhamdulillah, I got 20 people buy my food. I never read that in their page. They don't talk about that. They talk about the journey of how I love food, I love cooking, I love to share you about my culture. And people are interested. I'm interested for them to find Somalis and Ethiopians after this because I'm interested in that food. And they took that one because that's what they get. Knowledge. That said, Azmi likes Ethiopian food. So to answer your question on how to maintain that sustainability for people to continue is by knowledge. And this is one thing that we don't like to invest because we don't like to read because we are action-reaction people. But we all have 24 hours, my friends. And if we take that 24 hours to learn all the time, instead of saying, no, I'm here for globes only, then you waste part of the seconds and minutes to learn from other people. So knowledge is the key, especially during this time, to share and to educate. And I'm telling you, you guys can get back. You can get back. You just have to tweak. And it's all about learning. So if this one doesn't work, then you change. That's why on social media, you cannot have more than 5 photos. People don't read anymore. 2 small similar photos. People don't read anymore. If you do food bag and say that I got this at 30 ringgit cheap, where people will read because there's a knowledge. Like if you were to do like me at 30 ringgit, we can sustain this for 10 days. 10 days worth of food for 30 ringgit only covers 2 adults, 2 children. People will read because now they spend 70 to 100 ringgit. Cannot sustain 7 days. So this is all about trial and error. You can get back if you educate correct. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing that. I echo what you say about we know why we're doing it and also sharing the story throughout the way
Mm.
because that's the message, and I believe that it's the narrative that we share to our community, and that's part of community building, to inspire people to know the cause. And again, like you said, we have to set the boundaries or expectations to the people that we assist, so that it's not just a give and go, but give and empower. So thank you very much. I say again to Ms. Mincha and Mr. Syed Azmi for sharing your experiences and your wisdom with all of us today. We have more time actually given, so we'll proceed with some questions. I have some questions, thankfully.
Can I
listed
add
for
in
my
something
siblings.
first?
Yes, please.
I think this one is because I'm enjoying bullying them. So I'm going to say this. The other thing is, when we talk about beneficiaries, I think which I would agree on this. We don't look at them as pity favors. Okay? It's not about that. It's actually about their resilience, is what she said. And how you show this resilience to the world. For instance, we help poor families, and they never had a refrigerator for more than 10 years. And you say, oh my God, okay, we're going to fundraise and buy 4-door refrigerator for them. Of course, they would say, okay, we don't have a refrigerator for 10 years. And you want to buy them? Of course, they say yes, But to me, that's a bit of a problem there. If they can live without it, why are we solving a problem they don't need? Number two, who's paying the electricity bill? Okay, that's beside the point. But the point is, we cannot go on that. That's not what they need. They didn't even tell you. They would say, if there's somebody letting go of a second hand, we would like to have it, but we never had a fridge for 10 years. I think the right question to ask is, how do you live without a fridge in 10 years? You should actually put her in an experiment and actually look into a microscope to learn you can live without a refrigerator, a family of 6. And that's knowledge, and you want them. And probably what they ask is something else. And if they say, no, it's okay, anything goes, then probably that money for a refrigerator that maybe costs 900 ringgit can change into 150 ringgit a month for what? 6-7 months? Because that's what they need, because over 10 years, they don't need a refrigerator. But that money, if you convert to monthly affairs of 150 ringgit, then you get. So that's the thing. People get the wrong idea. And then sometimes, let's say, I had a case yesterday. It was one of the best case, I thought. And I've already settled it. She found a house, she found a job, everything settled. And everybody contact me. I want her bank account, I want to give money. I just say, it's okay, sit down. No, I want to give directly to her. I want to give money. You don't even know her, you want to give money. And then finally, I just couldn't take it. I gave her 1,000 ringgit yesterday. You want to give some more? You tell me now. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you only give 150. See, you asked the wrong question. When you ask the wrong question, you don't get it. So I said, why you give so much? Now you give so much, but now everybody wants to give. I give it because of blah, 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 blah. So you see, we need to educate people. It's not about I need your sympathy. What I need you to learn that this is how we do it, because around your area have similar people. So this is what I think Malaysia, because we are one of the most generous people in the world. Okay? Give me one sad story, you can get it. Before this, when people open up their own bank account, they can get up to 5 digits in their own bank account because people are that caring, But what does that do to them? Will that empower them, or they become more lazy? Who creates that kind of opportunity to make them no need to work hard? Just a sad story and then they get more money. That's why some houses, they don't want to refurbish to make it better, because if it looks good, then nobody would donate to them. So you don't want to create that kind of community. So I would like to share that part, because you see, when you talk about helping a community, you actually have to find the gem, why you help them and how much they are trying to help themselves. And that's worth investing their effort to help themselves.
Thank you for pointing that out. You are highlighting the fact that it's not just the issues they have at hand, daily issues, but also the systemic issue of what allows the problem in the first place.
I think you can share that, right? Because when you choose a community, you thought that's the right one, but I'm sure in the end, you find out that no, there's other factors to look into.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's go to the next question by Linda Haslina. She asks, I believe this is to PichaEats and Miss Mincha. What is your opinion when our Malaysians who said that why do we help those refugees during this, especially during this pandemic, when there are more locals who are suffering, Yeah. What is your comment on this?
Yeah. Before that, I think just to top up to what Syed mentioned, I think it's interesting where we always look at what is the surface problem. That is what a lot of a loophole where most of us fall into, I think. To really see that. So for example, we meet families where okay, they don't have they are still like, you know, surviving well and everything, even though it seems like they would need a lot of like we need a lot of things to, you know, go on our daily life. But a lot of time we also, when it comes to different culture, there are things where that's more important to them, and then there are things that where that's less important to them as well. So at the end of the day, people also ask us, right, when it comes to refugee issue in Malaysia, wouldn't it be, you know, a government's responsibility to actually fix it, or like wouldn't it be you know, to actually allow them to work, you know, policy part, how does it come into the picture? And but for us, it's actually important to also to actually show that okay, there are things that we can do without waiting, without actually you know, waiting for someone else to actually solve it. What we want to do here in PichaEats, it's basically to show to people that this is a community where they have a lot of strength, and they want to offer what they know, which is cooking. And in this case, in PichaEats, our role is help to build this bridge, right? For people to actually understand each other. And coming back to this question, where what do I think when it comes to helping refugees during pandemic, instead of locals Malaysia? So like I mentioned earlier, when it comes to pandemic cases, what we do is actually we realize that even though when we give out, you know, like we still help other community, we actually run Zaza movement. When we run Zaza movement, we collect funds, and then we get our chef to prepare meals to whoever that needs them. So what do I mean by that? That include you know, the frontliners, that include actually the local community, beef body community, if that's what they really need. So in a way, the Zaza movement fund that we activated during this pandemic time actually helps to, you know, empower both the refugee families and people who need food at the same time. And what is so you know, what I always find it very interesting is I know that there are refugee, they themselves actually initiated you know, cooking for the frontliners. And I also know that when they know that they actually get to cook for the doctors in the hospital, so they feel that they are actually contributing and they are helping to you know, people that wherever they are. It's not a matter of who do what anymore, but it's a matter of how they can be part of the nation as well. So when I say being part of the nation, it actually means that, you know, I'm here in Malaysia and pandemic happened. So I'm glad that I actually get to be part of this, where I cook for the doctors who is helping to save the lives. So, and it's not the lives of like anyone specific, but it's really people that's around. And whenever we have, you know, of the chef, they actually cook meals for the doctors. We also try to educate the kids, where you say, hey, today your mom is actually looking for the doctor, and they will sometimes, like, you know, put up very cute message card for them as well while they enjoy the meals. And I understand where, you know, a lot of people at this time, you know, pandemic time, things are very tough, and it's not just for anyone specific. I think that's for everyone. And what I'm really hoping to see, and I know that the truth is a lot of people who actually get out of this is actually becoming stronger. I'm saying as a nation, we are actually getting stronger together. So like you see a lot of small business happening. Although we might not be able to, you know, to get the numbers or anything because they don't register themselves per se. But you see a lot of people are actually very resourceful. So they are starting to either connect the neighborhood, or they started selling something that they know, and then they sell it to people around them. So everyone is about, you know, this support local mindset or attitude. And I think that's really super cool. So what we do in PichaEats, we also support other local business in a way where when we have this ready to heat meal subscription, what we do is we include these small businesses products where we are very aware that the products is actually also coming from Malaysians, and we support them by we actually bundle things together and then we offer it to Picha clients. So that is also a way where we want to help other businesses basically to thrive together. And like I say, in terms of once we find out that there is any mothers that actually also willing to cook and come on board, and definitely we are very open to try it out. And we are also, when it comes to internal kitchen like food production, we also hire locals so that they can come and be part of this. So yeah, so I think in a way Picha is pretty open to actually work together with a lot more communities. Yeah.
And I like that you mentioned they also provide food for the frontliners.
Yeah.
So in a way, when we empower such communities, they also help our own people back, and we also show the Malaysian values of caring for one another, regardless of our nationalities. So I would like to give our amazing guests and speakers today 1 minute to share with us your final message for people who are passionate and want to be committed in community building. Yes. So may I start with Mrs. Syed?
Well, mine is just simple. It's actually just do it. It's a journey on its own. It's a process, but it's an interesting process because only you can make it happen. Only you believe in that cause, and don't worry about whether you cannot find same people ke apa ke, because it starts with you. That's why I start with NGI, because I would like to tell the world that you can start that ripple effect, and then slowly will grow. Trust in yourself, in your cause.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Syed. Ms. Misha, please.
So for myself, I also remember there's this question when we talk about trust, right? I think as a community builder, it's very important to actually listen to the community.
I hope that this session would remain as a continuous education for all of us. It's on Facebook, so we can get back to it anytime. And education has been central in realizing the Sustainable Development Goals. How do we localize our solutions towards achieving those global goals? And we will continue with the next session later. So inshallah, we'll see you soon.